It's incredibly frustrating to not be able to get ourselves to sit down and write, whether that's at the computer or at the notebook, whatever it is. And that's because it feels so good when we can write. If you're somebody who's written something, you probably know what it feels like to feel inspired, to feel motivated, to feel energized by what you're about to write, to feel excited. And when we're in that spot, what's so great about it is the story starts to write itself. Like all of us, our fingers are just trying to keep up, our hands getting sore because we can't write the ideas down fast enough. It's the best. So when we don't feel like that, it can be very frustrating for a writer. You can start to doubt yourself. You can start to feel like, well, gosh, maybe it was just that one time. Maybe I lost what I had. Maybe I'm not a writer anymore. And of course, that's that inner critic coming in. So when we don't feel like writing and that we hit that, like you might call it writer's block, you might say you're unmotivated, you might find yourself wanting to procrastinate. It doesn't matter. I know that it's frustrating, and I know that the rabbit hole that it can take a writer down. What's the story that you tell yourself when that writing isn't flowing? Is it that you're lazy? Is it that you must be undisciplined? Is it that you should try harder? Is it that this is the sign that you're not a writer? The truth is that you are not. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you're undisciplined. It's not that you're not a writer. The truth is that writing matters to you. Now we just got to find a way to help you get that pen moving. I'm Trevor Martins with I Help You Write Things, because that's what writers do. So what does the inner critic actually show up around? Well, the inner critic shows up around things that matter to us. And in this case, you know that your writing matters because it bothers you that you don't feel like writing. But the inner critic's quite sneaky. It's got a lot of tactics that convince us that it's time to shut down our writing. I call it the 3 Ps. Perfectionism, people-pleasing, and procrastination are 3 of the inner critic's #1 weapons. For perfectionists out there, you know what this looks like. You have to get something just right before you share it to someone. You got to make sure the idea has absolute value, that the book can go somewhere before you start to allow yourself to write it. In all ways, it wants you to keep revising, keep editing, keep getting outside assurances before it's okay to feel good about the story or yourself as a writer. When it comes to people pleasing, it's a lot of the same branch. The inner critic's going to convince you that you need outside feedback that affirms that you, your talent level, or your story are all good enough to put out in the world. You're probably a writer who gets people to read your stuff a lot. And you're probably a writer who gets a high when somebody says they like it. That's normal. All writers like that. But you probably, especially you, will get this high. But 2, you probably get devastated by criticism. That just means that the inner critic's been working on that people-pleasing side of you. And 3, it gets us to procrastinate. It convinces us to do a little more research before we start to write. It convinces us to maybe think through our story a little bit more, or it can be even bigger. Sometimes the procrastination is, don't write today, let's go scrub the tub. Let's get the lawn in order. Let's go work on this other thing that I have to do instead of what's most important. Because the inner critic's job is not to protect you from the potential failure of creating a piece. It's to make sure that you never fail at all. And in order to make sure that you never fail at all, it will convince you to never, ever try. So listen, you can give all the grace you want to your inner critic. It doesn't want me to feel the pain of rejection or of not quite meeting my goal. Yeah, I guess that's true. But the cost of that is it will prevent you from ever achieving your goal, finishing that book, and sharing it with the world. Can we even control the inner critic? The answer is no. It's going to show up around everything that's important to you. And if we don't do something different here, if we just keep letting it run amok and we keep listening to it and paying attention to it, how tough is it going to be to be a writer? How tough is it going to be to create that body of work that we're all here to create, let alone our first work that we're going to put out in the world? It's not sustainable, because I'll tell you, I know a lot of people that have been very successful as perfectionists, but there's not a one of them that's enjoyed that journey. There's not a one of them that sat back and said, oh man, this life's the best. I just love what I'm doing. No, their brows furrowed, they're stressing, they're barking at people, they're busting their tail to get something done. And the reward of getting that done isn't, this is amazing, beautiful. It's relief, because for a second, they don't have to whip themselves anymore. As writers, I'm here to tell you that we don't have to write by the whip anymore. The inner critic is a voice that we will hear, that we cannot control, but it's not the voice we have to listen to. The voice that I'm going to suggest that you listen to is that of your dream. All of this is only bothering you because you want to be a writer. Writing is something that at any given time you would say, yeah, I'd love to put a book out there. That's the voice we want to listen to. It's not as loud as the inner critic. It's not going to scream in your ear, but it's quiet and soft and steady. And so when the inner critic riles up against you and you start feeling all these negative emotions around writing, recognize that as a sign that it's important to you, and then recognize the fact that you have a writing dream and that you have a choice as to which of these two forces you want to listen to and serve. Now, when I mentioned writing dream, for some of you, you may have nodded and something may have resonated, but I want you to stop for a second and think, do you know what your dream is? A dream is a lot like a story. You can articulate it. You can write it down. There are details that you can capture. Have you captured the details of what you want? Is it to enjoy the writing process daily and kind of let the chips fall where they may? Is it to create that body of work, like a series of stories that you're going to put out there that the world can then interact with and experience and take value from? You have every right to have this dream, regardless of your current level of skill or experience. And in fact, you have to if you're going to get to it. The inner critic's going to tell you one story. You're no good. This is a sign you're not a writer, yada, yada, yada. It's pointing you and directing you right where you are. It wants you to grow roots and never move again. In order to get out of that, in order to counter that, we've got to consciously choose to honor that dream, and we can honor it by articulating it. Now that dream can change and shift. Maybe it's like, I just want to get one book. Then it's like, actually, I want to get a series out. Then I want to get a whole work. That's great. Aim where you want. Just aim where you want, because this is your life. You have one life to live here. Why would you aim for anything less than what you really want? So the next time you don't feel like writing, one, remember remember to challenge that feeling. Is that true? If you had the choice, would you be writing in that moment? Or do you just not feel like it? Like, is it just the feelings that are working against you? Because you're allowed, just as you're allowed to separate yourself from the inner critic, you're allowed to separate yourself from these feelings. They're an experience, just like the inner critic's an experience, just like your dream is an experience. You're allowed to choose which one you orientate yourself towards. And so the next time you don't feel like writing, just check in. Well, would I prefer to be writing right now or not? Oh, I would. Okay, good. Is the inner critic coming up telling you don't know what to write, you can't write, nothing's like that, you have no right to write? Well, good. It means it's important to you. It's reinforcing that dream. Check, check. Don't feel like it, inner critic. I should probably be writing. So what do you do after that? Because listen, I've been there myself. I'll sit down in these storms of the inner critic and no words will come. I can show up, and that's okay. You could be one of those writers who these feelings are so negative, and the thought of failing and not doing well and the criticism that could come is so strong that fear keeps your creativity locked away. Totally normal, totally natural, and totally a sign that you're meant to be a writer, that this is valuable to you. And so what do? This is again where we just use time on our side. We set that timer, we sit down, and we let ourselves wonder. We let ourselves be curious about what we want to write. Then whatever comes up, comes up. We can't control it. It might be a complete struggle the entire time through. Totally normal. At least you've sat down with the intention of writing. So what do we do when we choose to follow our dream in spite of the inner critic, in spite of not feeling like it? What do we do when we sit down and no words are coming? Totally natural. There is such a fear of failure for some of us, or this fear of criticism, or this fear of not being able to reach that dream, that it's very natural for us to shut down. It's a protective. It's what the inner critic's doing. It's trying to keep you small ball. And so I'm going to give you another perspective shift here to take that pressure off. You are not in charge of your creative voice, of your creative intuition. If you've ever allowed yourself to write and gotten into a flow, you've probably recognized that the words just come. Characters just do things or say things out of the blue. Scenes show up. You're like, oh, I guess I will write like that. Your creativity we are co-creators. Are we co-creators with our subconscious? with Stephen Pressfield's The Muse, with the universe, with God, I don't know, the creative force, it doesn't really matter. But we are co-creators. And so this idea that it's all on your shoulders, that you've got to have the great idea, is a misdirection. It's an inner critic misdirection. Because then if you fall short, it's all your fault too. Oh, then maybe you're not a writer. It can play on that. You can see where that rabbit hole can go. Our job is just to show up and be like a good gardener. Okay, we need the soil to be tilled, we need sunlight, we need water. Show up, turn the phone off, have your computer on, have that cup of coffee, whatever it is that you like, and then just ask the questions that you want to ask, not what the inner critic's saying. We don't want to sit there and say, who am I to write this? Or I have no good ideas. No one's going to care about what I have to say. No, that's not what we want to create. We want to create a story. And so what do I feel like writing today? What would be fun to write? What would be curious to write? What would be very scary to write right now? Pick your poison. You're the writer. This is your experience. You get to choose how you channel that story and what kind of story you want to channel. It's just your job to ask and then wait and then honor whatever the heck you imagine from there. Just pay attention. The answers will come, but they'll only come if you're asking the right questions. We do not have to be consistent in our writing. You can choose whatever you like and live whatever life you want to live. But if you have a dream of writing, if it lights you up when you're able to write and you want to write, then that's the choice that we can make. We can choose to show up. Can't guarantee anything else. If you want help to continue working through your writing process, little reminders like this, I'd love it if you'd signed up for my newsletter. It's in the link below. I send it out every week and I offer little shifts on perspective, on mindset, on technique that can help writers be the writers they want to be. You don't have to feel like writing. You just have to remember that you're a writer.